The goal for most home gym owners is to find themselves a true centerpiece. So if that's the situation you're in, you might want to consider the Rep Fitness PR-5000. It's made from 11 gauge steel. It can hold up to 1,000 pounds of weight. Oh, and it's completely customizable. I've been using this rack for a while now, and there's a whole lot to talk about. So kick back, relax, and hang out with me for a little bit as I break it all down. What's up, y'all? It's Jake back in the BarBend garage gym, and for today's video, I've got the Rep Fitness PR-5000 in for review. In this video, I'm gonna tell you every single thing you need to know about this power rack, from the price and the features, some pros and cons you may run into, and of course, who should or maybe should not purchase one of these. Now, before I dive into all of that, I have to let you know, we've reviewed a ton of power racks on BarBend.com. So if you want to browse our best list, just go ahead and search BarBend Best Power Racks. It'll pull right up for you, and you can find out for yourself which ones that we like the best. All right, so let's talk about some of the things I like about the PR-5000. And remember, once again, it is made from 11 gauge steel, and it has a weight capacity of 1,000 pounds. So unless you're in the 99th percentile of athletes, this rack is gonna be perfect for you, and you're really gonna be able to grow with it over time. Once again, it's completely customizable, so you can decide what size you want it to be, the color scheme, and even the attachments. I'm gonna dig into all of that in just a second, don't worry, but let's talk about the size first. So you have two different height options. We went with the 80-inch version. There's also a 93-inch version, and you have three different options in terms of depth, whether that be 16 inches, 30 inches, or 41 inches. So, if you're really tight on space, maybe go after that 16-inch option, and it's probably gonna fit. Just remember though, it's not really gonna be a true power rack because you're not gonna have a cage to work within. So definitely, just keep that in mind. Now, my personal favorite attachment with the PR-5000 is hands down the Aries. And anybody who doesn't know what the Aries is, it's essentially gonna add a cable machine to your power rack. So you're gonna have two different weight stacks in the back of the rack, and you're gonna have 6 different attachment points with cables, if that makes sense. It's really only 4 cables, but the way everything is set up, you have 6 different attachment points. These cables operate on a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning the weight you're lifting is actually half of what is selected, if that makes sense. But the cool thing is that Rep actually went ahead and accounted for that. Both of the weight stacks are 260 pounds, unless you go for that upgraded version of 310 pounds. And I really like how the rack building feature lets you decide the final price tag of your rack. So that way you can figure out your budget and stay within it whenever you're building your rack. All right, now let's talk about a few potential cons some people may run into with the PR-5000. I want to talk about price and size first. Yes, you can determine the final price tag of your rack, but you're at least gonna have to spend $1,100. That's without any of the extra attachments. So when you're building your rack, you have to choose between your own version of a pull-up bar, safeties, and J-cups. Now, if you were to go for the cheapest option of all 3 of those, that's where you're gonna be spending around $1,100. So that might be a turnoff for some people because this could be over $6 grand if you were to go for the Aries and for all the extra attachments. So definitely keep that in mind. And let's talk about size. Yeah, I just talked about how it can probably fit in a tight space, especially with that depth of 16 inches. But some people may just benefit from having a rack that mounts on your wall and can be folded. So definitely keep that in mind. And let's talk about assembly. Now, it's gonna vary depending on your configuration, the size you want, whether you want it to be a 4-post or a 6-post. Obviously, we have a 6-post rack right here. I assembled this myself, and guys, it was a grind. I would say it took me at least 10 hours. I say at least because I split it up into 2 different days. And I kind of lost track of time. I sometimes enter a time vortex whenever I'm in this garage. And like I said, 10 hours, that's a long time. I did it by myself. If I would have had some help, it definitely would have been cut down a little bit. White glove assembly is gonna run you around $650 if you were to go for assembly with the Aries and the actual rack itself. $400 for the Aries, around $250 for the rack. So definitely just keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth it just for your own mental sanity. If you don't want to spend that money though, I'd absolutely recommend having an extra pair of hands on deck just to make everything go so much smoother. And this might not affect everybody, but when you're going to build your rack, some of the stuff may be out of stock, whether that be the color scheme or the attachments themselves. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's talk about these urethane D handles for a second too. They're a little bit underwhelming to me personally. They don't have any knurling on them. And that's something that I look for in equipment. So I'm gonna be upgrading here soon. And I also wanna talk about the landmine. Okay, so the landmine attachment is designed to go in this upright right here at the base of it, but because of the pulley system, it simply can't go there. So that might be a bit of a bummer for some people, but you know, in the long run, you're still gonna be able to use it where I have it positioned right now. And I think it's gonna be fine. It's just not where it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's talk about price real quick. Once again, you're gonna be determining the final price tag with your configuration of the PR-5000, but you know, the base value, the cheapest this rack is gonna be, is around $1,100. Aries attachment, once again, is about 2,800 bucks. If you were to go for Aries attachment, you know, all the upgraded versions of the attachments, go for everything they have available, you're gonna spend over $6,000. And white glove assembly could potentially cost you another 650 bucks. So yes, this could be a very expensive purchase, but the coolest thing about it is that you yourself are gonna determine that final price tag. Okay, so let's talk about the build now with the PR-5000. Once again, the uprights are made from 11 gauge steel and they're rated to hold up to 1,000 pounds, which is a really high number. That's really solid. So once again, you have two different height options to work with, 80, 93 inches. You also have three different options in terms of depth, whether that be 16, 30, or 41 inches. So it's really cool. You know, you can completely customize this to your liking. You do not have west side spacing here, so if that's something you want, I definitely recommend going after the lower J cups. That way you can mimic that style of spacing. So you're gonna have 1-inch pinholes here with 2 inches in between each individual hole. There's 13 different attachments you can add on to this rack. I'll dig into that in just a second. And remember, you know, we built our rack around the Aries attachment, which is essentially a cable machine. You're gonna have 2 different weight stacks in the back of the rack. Both of them equal 260 pounds, unless you spend $300 for that upgraded version. I forgot to mention that just a second ago when I was talking about money, but definitely keep that in mind. And remember, the cables operate on a 2-to-1 ratio. All right, now let's talk pretty briefly about attachments. I'm gonna explain all of this in just a second, but whenever you're building your rack, you're gonna have to choose between your version of pull-up bar, safeties, and J cups. After that though, the rest is completely up to you. So for me personally, I wanted to go with the dip handles and the landmine attachment as well as the leg rollers. That's just me personally though. I mean, that doesn't mean those are the best options out there. You know, there's 13 different ones for you to choose from. So I would just recommend, you know, going off of what is gonna suit you best and your specific workouts. All right, so I wanna walk you guys around the PR-5000 and just kind of demonstrate how it operates for the most part. So you have 11 gauge steel uprights. You know, these are rated to hold up to 1,000 pounds, which is a really impressive number. So this rack is gonna be in it for the long haul. Now, I decided to go with the multi-grip pull-up bar. It's really versatile. You know, you have a bunch of different grips for you to work with. And it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You just pull up. That's why it's called a pull-up bar. But yeah, you know, you have a 2-inch grip back here. And I really like how you don't have to flip it around like you did with the PR-1100. As long as you have enough clearance above your head, you can just do your pull-ups within here. But if you are challenged in terms of, you know, the height of your ceilings in your home gym, this pull-up bar can actually be inverted. You can flip it upside down and, you know, accommodate accordingly to your ceilings, which is really cool. Now, I decided to go with the flip down safeties. They're really durable, they're solid like a rock. They also come with this pin right here, and it's gonna help, you know, in terms of just keeping everything locked into place in case you were to drop, you know, a loaded barbell with a bunch of weight on it. These aren't gonna fall out or anything. And they're also lined with the same plastic that's on these round sandwich J cups I decided to go with, both of which are gonna help protect your barbell and just prevent it from being damaged. Now, let's move to the back really quick. It's the Aries attachment. This is my favorite thing about this power rack right here. As you can see, you have 2 different weight stacks back here. I did not get the upgraded version. 260 pounds on each side is plenty for me, and it might be for you as well. And this is just awesome. So right up top right here, you have your lat pull down. Here, let me grab my weight bench really fast. And also I went with the leg rollers. I want to be able to do my split squats with them, and I need to lower these down a little bit. But whenever you're not doing split squats, these are gonna be great in terms of keeping your legs down as you're going to do your lat pull downs. And it's pretty straightforward, you know, just put your feet underneath them and then you can just, you know, do your workout, and it's gonna prevent your body from wanting to go up, especially as you move up in weight. Now, you have this banana attachment right here, which is really cool in my opinion. Basically, you know, your carabiners are gonna connect right here. And if you have, you know, a triangle attachment or maybe your own lat pull down bar that isn't compatible with the Aries, you can make it fit on this right here, which is pretty cool. I do wish they would have had a banana attachment for the low row down here, but it's okay, you can definitely work around it. Now, you can adjust where this positioning is of this foot plate. There's a pin right here, you just pull up on it, and you're able to pull out, I think there's four different adjustments you can make. That way you can be further away from your cables, or from your weight stacks, excuse me, if you want to. Now, this is actually a pretty nice bar right here. It's got a really nice knurling on it. Both of these are chrome plated, excuse me. And so you're gonna have to clean them every once in a while just to, you know, prevent any rust if you're not in a climate controlled environment, but they're really nice. They have a really impressive knurling in my opinion. Now, once again, you know, these are gonna be great for split squats and for keeping your legs down, but they do wobble a little bit. So definitely just, you know, be cautious of that. And I also really like how you have these extra weights you can throw on here. There's 4 of them, 2 on each side. These weigh 5 pounds. So if you get into the problem of maxing out, just simply toss those on there and you're good to go. And this selector pin is actually magnetized, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, falling out as you're working out. Ignore how this is a little crooked. I'm not the best with that kind of stuff, but it gets the job done. All right, now let's move to the front really fast. I want to talk about these dip handles. I personally really like these. I love doing dips when I'm working out. It's a great exercise for your chest and your triceps. And I read some stuff online, some, you know, customers talking about how they felt like these wobbled a little bit and weren't very stable. I personally haven't noticed that. I mean, I'll show you right now. You know, I'm sitting here. I don't feel anything whatsoever. I think these are really solid in my opinion. It's really easy to put them in. All you have to do, well, okay, I'm doing it reverse, obviously, so I have to rotate it and pull it out. So you'll just stick this guy in right here. Make sure it goes all the way through, lined up in the same hole. And then you just twist it because you want these little hooks, I guess you could call them, to fit, and that's gonna prevent, you know, your dip handles from coming out, which you definitely don't want that. Let's talk about these pulleys right here and this trolley. The trolley is really easy to move. You have this pin right here. It's gonna help you out in terms of, you know, it's a security blanket, keeping it where it needs to be. You might not necessarily need that, but you know, some people are gonna like that. It's really easy. You just pop it in there. Same thing as with the safeties. Now, once again, you have this pop pin, one hand, you simply just slide it up and down. It's really easy to do. And I like this knurled handle right here. It gives you a really nice, solid grip. Just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in here. Now, there we go. Now, these pulleys rotate 180 degrees, which is really cool. You know, you can do so many different angles, whatever exercise you're trying to do, whether you're doing some flies, whether you're doing some tricep extensions, some bicep curls, whatever you're trying to do, you can do so with these right here. Now, the only problem that some people might run into is that, you know, you can't go above this plate right here or, you know, down low either because of the bolt and everything. It's just not gonna fit. So I think it's gonna be fine, but some people might find a way to find some nitpicky thing to complain about, and that could be it right there. Now, let's drop down to the bottom really quick. I already mentioned this earlier, but you know, this landmine attachment was designed to be in this upright right here at the base of it. And because of this pulley right here, you're not able to do that. So it'd be really cool if rep would accommodate for that, and there was a hole right here so you could utilize this pinhole and put the landmine where it needs to be. Now, you're still gonna be able to get a solid workout in where it is right now, but as you can see, this cable is gonna be rubbing up and, you know, rub back and forth against the attachment itself. So I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not gonna keep this here when I'm not using it, and I definitely wouldn't recommend you do that either. But really straightforward process. You just toss your barbell in there and you're able to do all your favorite landmine exercises. And if you have a T-bar attachment you can attach to your barbell, I think that's a really nice workout right there. Do some T-bar rows, which is pretty cool. Now, this is a really, really sturdy and stable rack, but if you want to, if it makes you feel even more comfortable, you actually do have the ability to bolt this to the ground. So every single upright has two, maybe three, two different spots where you can bolt this bad boy into the ground. But like I said, you know, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it toppling over on you or anything. And lastly, I wanna talk about the powder coat finish I have right here on my matte black version. I like it, it looks really great in the garage, but you know, because of that powder coat, it's really gonna show some more wear and tear than probably any other option would. Now, I can't speak on all of them because I haven't been able to use every single color option, obviously, but it's definitely gonna show. And it's not gonna, you know, decrease the lifespan. It's not gonna, you know, prevent you from doing anything with this rack. Don't think that's the case. But as far as aesthetics go, you know, that might not be what everybody's looking for. I personally don't mind it. You know, it shows that this rack has had use. It shows that, you know, I'm actually getting in here and working out. Definitely just keep that in mind. And obviously, there's a lot of bolts here. I wish I would have counted how many bolts I put together by hand. But, you know, once again, there's just a lot going on. So if you don't want to, you know, deal with 10 hours of assembly or so like I did, I definitely recommend going after that white glove assembly. All right, so I wanted to bring you guys over here to the computer just so I can really demonstrate how to utilize the rack building feature. All right, so click on Rack Builder, which you already have, and you're gonna see on the screen, it's gonna show a bunch of different configurations that you could do, which is pretty cool. But whenever you come down here, you're gonna notice you have 5 different options to choose from. You can do the Omni, the Apollo half rack, the PR-5000, the 5000, or you can do what we did and go after the Aries attachment. So we're gonna click on Build My Aries. And from here, this is where you're gonna be able to do everything. And it's got a 3D experience, which is really cool. It's gonna update in real time as you're clicking on attachments, color scheme, size, whatever. It's gonna adjust accordingly, all right? So we're gonna click on configuration right here. We're gonna go to Aries and rack, because that's what we have. All right, so click on the series. We want the 5000, and then we're gonna go for the style. So you can either go for the 4-post, which is basically how it is right now, or you can go for the 6-post. That way you can have a full actual rack. Now from here's height, like I said, you have 80 inches or 93 inches. We're just gonna build the one that we have. So 80 inches, upright color. See, this is what I was talking about where some stuff might be out of stock. So orange and white are both currently out of stock. We have the matte black, so I'm gonna click on right now. And as you'll see, everything's the exact same price. Doesn't matter what color you click on except for that clear coat option, which is, you know, 570 bucks. Everything else is around 460. All right, so rack depth, you know, once again, this is where you can kind of get creative a little bit. You know, you can go 16 inches, 30 inches, or 41 inches, which is what we have. So cross member color, same concept. See, there's no matte black right now. There could be in a week, could be in a couple days. I don't know. So for the purpose of this video right now, I'm just gonna click on metallic black just for some consistency here. Same thing with the weight storage. Actually, it does have matte black. So it's kind of funky, you know, some stuff's gonna be just out of stock whenever you're going to do this. Same thing with the weight storage cross member color. All right, weight storage horns. All right, now, weight stack upgrade, you know, this is yes or no. It's pretty self-explanatory whether you want, you know, your weights to be 260 pounds or 310 pounds. So we didn't do that. I'm just gonna click no for right now. Logo plate cross member. All right, so this is where price starts to really come into effect. So if you go for the standard option, that's 120 bucks basically. If you're for the compact, that's basically right around $100. So we're gonna go about this. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna keep going with what we have. All right, so save it to the rack. It's gonna adjust the price right away. And as you can see, it's also adjusting the actual rack itself. And you can actually turn this a little bit too, which is pretty cool. Now, all right, we're just gonna go back to standard. All right, cool, it's there. Go to the pull-up bar. You have 5 different options. You know, once again, you're dealing with some out of stock issues. This globe grip is a really good option for anybody who wants, you know, the most difficulty, I guess you could say, with their pull-ups, because you have to actually, you know, grip those globes, so it's called the globe grip. It's gonna increase your grip strength, and that's pretty cool. Now, we went with the multi-grip. That's my personal favorite. It's a pretty good option. This raw 1.25 inch option right here, it's technically an upgrade from the standard option. It's got bare steel, and it actually does have a little bit of a knurling on there, a little pitted texture as they call it. So, you know, just definitely keep that in mind if that's something that you're looking for. Anyways, back to the multi-grip. Go ahead and save that to the rack. Go down to the safeties, same thing. Flip down, actually out of stock right now. They have a pin pipe option that's also out of stock. So for the sake of this video, don't have a choice. We're gonna go with the strap safeties. All right, now, and here comes your J-cups. Remember, this rack does not have west side spacing. So if that's something that you're really interested in, something that you really want, I definitely suggest going after these lowered J-cups because Well, first of all, they're cheaper, which is pretty nice. I think we all like that, but it's gonna mimic that style of spacing, which is pretty cool. But we have the flat sandwich, so I'm just gonna save that to the rack. And now we can move on to the next step. So with the Aries included right now, we're already sitting at pretty much $4,600. So yeah, that is pretty pricey, but you know, you can build without that, and that's gonna shave around $2,800 or so off of your rack. Then you could also go for those cheaper options of everything we just went for and bring that price tag down even more. Now, same thing with supply issues, you know, the dip stations out of stock, which is actually different than what we have. We have the drop-in dip handles rather than the dip station, so you can actually have to go over to the attachment section of their website to find that. Now, oops, excuse me. Now let's go to the landmine. You know, we're going to save that to the rack, and look, it's going to pop up down here at the bottom. And the same thing with the leg roller. That's going to pop up on here as well. And it's all just going to, you know, change in real time. So I'm going to save these to the rack. I forgot. They also have the option for these ISO arms. A lot of people refer to them as jammers. This is a really good attachment if you're looking for some explosive workouts. You know, a lot of football players tend to do those kind of workouts because you're doing a lot of jamming people. That's why they're kind of called jammers. You're mimicking that movement. So, you know, if that's something that you're interested in, then, you know, I definitely suggest going after that. It's going to be really great for your pecs and your shoulders. But it is $600, so we're not gonna do that right now. There's a band peg option. You know, if you're somebody who likes adding resistance bands to your bench press or your squatting, you can definitely do so, which is pretty cool. But we didn't do that. We're also gonna click no. But see, there's a lot of stuff that's out of stock right now. You can get a barbell tube stand to go on the side. You can get a dual barbell hanger. There's a utility horn that actually serves multiple purposes. You can use it as a leg roller if you want. You can store, you know, your resistance bands. If you have any chains, you can store those on that as well, which is just, you know, it's a pretty nice thing right there. There's a belt squat. I kind of wish I would have snagged the belt squat, but you know, it has to go in the middle of your rack, and that kind of just takes up some space. But that's some really nice variety to your leg day. That's something you're interested in. Might be worth checking out. It's about $300 or so. There's also a wall ball target. It's gonna be great for your medicine ball throws. You have something to, you know, a target. You have something to aim at, which is pretty cool. And you also have your half spotter arms right here, which can go on the front of the rack if you wanna work outside of the rack. Now, like I said, you know, a lot of this stuff is out of stock right now. So based off of just these couple of things, we're looking at around $4,800 or so, but just for the sake of this video, let's go and add some other stuff on here just so you can see what I'm talking about in terms of price. And you know, we're already sitting here basically right at $6,000, and that's without, you know, even having the option of adding 4 more attachments. So definitely keep that in mind. You know, yes, this can be an expensive purchase, but it also can be pretty cheap if you go, you know, down that cheap route. And don't go for any of this stuff, and you go for the cheapest option of the stuff that's actually like essential when you're, you know, building the rack. Now, really cool thing here, you can click on view your space down here at the bottom, and it's gonna pull up a QR code, and you can scan that code with your phone and then see what it would look like in your personal space with your camera on your phone, which is just really cool in my opinion. You know, Rep really thought about everything when they were, you know, going about this process, and it makes it a lot easier, you know, because so many people have the problem of just not having enough space in their home, in their garage, in their home gym, wherever it is. Spacing is always an issue. So it's really nice that, you know, you can build this, you know, use that QR code and see where you need it to go and how it's gonna fit and what it's gonna look like and all that good stuff, which is pretty cool. Now, let's say, you know, all this stuff's out of stock and you know, you want to add it another time. Well, all you got to do is just click on equipment up here, and you can go to rack attachments, and you're going to find a whole lot of stuff right here. So there's that dip station I was talking about. There's a landmine. There's a leg roller right here. And a lot of these, you know, most of these, like let's talk about this dip station. You can choose this one between the 4,000 and the 1,000. So this is not compatible with the PR-5000. Definitely keep that in mind. Same thing goes with the landmine attachment. They're all different, and that leg roller, which, you know, that's nice. You know, if you're not even getting the PR-5000, you have some variety right there as well. And there's just a lot of different things you can do right here. You know, if you ever need to go back at whatever time and add on more attachments, you definitely can do so. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my crash course. Thanks for watching my TED Talk when it comes to the rack builder. It's just a really cool feature, and I think it's pretty unique that Rep is doing that. Okay, so when it comes to those who might want to buy the PR-5000, it's honestly pretty straightforward. And let's talk about the rack building first. You know, because of all the customization options, this is a great option for just about anybody, because odds are you're gonna be able to make this rack fit in your personal space. And because of that, you're gonna be able to determine that final price tag and really work within your budget, unless of course your budget is less than $1,100. And since it's made from 11 gauge steel and rated to hold up to 1,000 pounds, this power rack is in it for the long haul, and it's one that you can really grow with. All right, now when it comes to those who might not want to purchase the PR-5000, it comes down to 3 different things in my opinion. If you're looking for a rack that can be moved around your personal space, you kind of want to switch up the feng shui of your home gym, you can't do that with this rack. It's way too heavy, trust me, especially with the Aries attachment. Let's talk about size too. Yes, I just got done saying you can make this pretty small, and odds are it can fit in your personal space, but that's definitely not a guarantee. So, if you are really crammed on space, you might be struggling when looking to add this to your home gym. And lastly, it's just the money. Yeah, you do have the ability to determine that final price tag. If you can't spend $1,100, as I just mentioned, you need to look elsewhere. Rep does have a pretty nice power rack, PR-1100, it's around $500 or so definitely keep that in mind as well. Thanks for watching, y'all. I hope this video was super helpful and that I was able to break down every single aspect of this power rack. As always, keep your eyes peeled for my next video, but for now, you know what I think you should do in your meantime? I think you should head over to BarBend.com. And you know why? Because we have a full written article about this rack just waiting for you to read. All you gotta do is search BarBend Rep Fitness PR-5000 Power Rack Review. It's gonna pull right up for you, and you can read over every single thing that I talked about here today. I'll catch y'all next time.